Welcome everybody to Strangest Species, episode 48. I am your host, Mike Davis, here with your co-host, Ethne Davis, for another round of wildness.
Wildness, I like that. Strangeness, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
There will probably be a little strangeness in today's story.
I think so.
Actually, there's a lot of strangeness.
Well, it's good.
And weirdness.
Well,
And I'm glad I wasn't part of it-ness.
Well, there you go. I like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to give a shout out to our fancy oil spa.
Okay. Shout on.
It's the strangest place. You would never think that it's a great massage, but it's a great massage. They don't speak any English.
Not a word.
And they're a little...
Are they Chinese?
No, I don't think so. I don't know.
Where do you think they're from?
Maybe they are. I don't know. But they are a little like uncouth as far as like they just want to get like good pressure, and even if that means like because they're tiny people, you know, getting up there on the bed and kind of like digging into you. But I think it's great.
I 100% think it's great. For one, it's the best value ever. It's literally $1 a minute.
Yep. It's a great value, and they do a great job, and they find all the right spots. And yeah, so I just wanted to give a shout out to them. If you've never tried it, it's Fancy Oil Spa if you're local. And they are on Nevada, kind of up by Francis. So
Yeah.
if you are local, you'll know what we're talking about.
So, speaking of massages, which is not what our topic is at all today, but there's two kinds of massage people. There's naked massage people, and there's too afraid to get naked massage people. I think you and I are both firmly in the camp of naked massage people.
Definitely.
I have no problem getting naked. And they always put like a sheet over you, you know? So that's how it was for my first like 2 years with Fancy Oil Spa. But I've had this new girl the last 2 times. And I go in there, strip down, I lay down, I put my sheet on. She walks in and she rips that sheet right off.
Your butt's just hanging out.
It's like the butt is not any different than any other body part to her. She just goes. And they like climb on you, and so it's awesome, but it's a little it can be intimidating, I assume, for some people if they're not ready for it. Now this is when I'm on my stomach. When I flip over on my back, like she puts the cloth back on, you know?
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they literally like get up on the table, and
They do
it's intense.
They do a very good job. But also, if you've been to a chiropractic office where you go to massage, they're all about tucking and like, I don't know.
Ain't none of that.
They spend way more time trying to tuck all the things with the sheet. And then I feel like half the time they miss the right spots. And I don't know. It's not worth it to me. I've never been to one that's worth it at a professional, chiropractic office. I'm not saying there aren't out there, just in my experience. It's so worth it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I feel so much better. We did massages on the beach in Mexico once.
They were good.
And they were good. Super cheap. Obviously not naked because you're on the beach. But I think then they have you guys take your tops off.
Your swimsuit. I mean,
Yeah.
like your straps. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so much easier to get a good massage without anything on. Anyway, Total side note. So I just wanted to shout out to them. They're great. Yeah. And I would never have gone without a referral just because it seems a little sketch, but not a lot. It's very clean and very nice. It's just...
They have signs up in all the rooms.
Yeah.
Like there's not going to be any funny business. They're letting you know right from the get-go.
But the sign on the outside's funny, and like the big fancy oil spot. Like I would never know what I was walking into.
Like the little waiting room has like all these ceramic like Christmas decorations year round. It's just weird.
Yeah.
But it's amazing massages.
Anyway, so.
Yeah. We did that today. That's why it's fresh on Ethne's mind.
Yeah, and it was good.
It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think we're going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about the center of the earth. Yep.
We're not, but that reminds me of over in Japan, in Tokyo, at Disney Sea. There's an amazing Journey to the Center of the Earth ride.
Yes,
where
there
you
is.
get shot out of an active volcano.
that goes off at the park intermittently. So then again, if you get the chance to go to Tokyo Disneyland / Tokyo Disney Sea, you have to do it. I mean, it's amazing.
I'm a Disney buff, and it's by far my favorite Disney park.
It's pretty
Tokyo
incredible.
Disney Sea. But no, we're not talking about the center of the earth today.
Okay. Well, I thought that would be a good idea.
It is a good idea. I'll have to look for a story of people that live there or something.
Maybe they ride.
Actually,
they ride in some sort of machine down to the center of the.
There is a guy who believes that there's a hole up in the North Pole, up in the Arctic, that goes into an underground civilization in the center of the earth. So maybe someday we'll have to do a story on that.
Sounds very intriguing.
But not tonight. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right. Well, tonight, let's hear it.
Do you remember a few episodes ago, and by a few I mean like 20 or 30, when we talked about Sealand?
The country?
The country of Sealand.
Yes, I do.
It was a small little man-made country out in the northern Atlantic. Well, today we're going to talk about a different small country,
Okay.
but this one's real.
Isn't Sealand real?
Well, Sealand's real, but if you haven't listened to the episode, it is a country that was made up by a family, and it's an old naval battlement kind of thing that is the entire country. Where this is an actual tropical island.
I want to live on that one.
That's east of Australia a ways. Not too far, but out there in the Pacific. Called Pitcairn Island.
Oh, Pitcairn.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Now, there are a total of 47 people
Is that current? Oh, I like it.
that live on Pitcairn Island permanently. But the history of this country is quite intriguing. Quite,
But it's actually
Spicy.
a country.
yeah, I actually don't know if it's a country or officially
Like a territory.
territory of England.
Oh, interesting.
Or if
Okay.
it's independent.
Okay. Sounds interesting, but
Not quite sure where they sit in that regard.
okay.
So originally this island was habitated.
Wow.
That's not a word. Inhabited. It's late. Kind of. By Polynesians. Probably from Tahiti.
Okay.
Because Tahiti's not too far from there. The island is naturally rich in obsidian. No, it's only about 4.5 square kilometers.
Is obsidian like a black stone? No, what's
It's oftentimes black the way we see it. I don't know if it's always black.
Okay.
In Minecraft, it's always black
Well,
when you're making nether portals.
yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I've never made a nether portal,
I don't even know what a nether portal is.
but we have children who play.
How do you even know the name of such a thing?
I actually saw one of our children watching a YouTube video this morning
On a nether
about
portal?
building a giant nether portal with obsidian that they had mined.
Oh.
And I told him, I don't know if you heard me. I said, oh, we're going to talk about obsidian tonight when we do our episode.
Oh, I did not.
And he said, oh, I have a piece of obsidian in my room. Which he probably does because he has everything in his room.
He likes to collect things. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
When
So-
we go to our other son's soccer games, this son goes dumpster diving.
Not everywhere, but he does do that at the school because the school has kind of like a dry dump, like
It's like they get rid of all these
Dumpster.
like school supplies.
yeah,
like
but
old
it's like old school
manuals
supplies and like pictures and posters, and it's not trash.
garbage.
Yeah, it's not garbage. And he, oh my gosh, he loves it. And I'm just cringing, like this is the worst discovery ever.
special child. Yeah, he'll like at the end of a soccer game, he'll come up with like 15 of the same like Reading Rainbow posters.
Expired coupons that like they
Yes.
get donated from the school and then they try to use. I mean,
Which
it's
he's been successful with.
only once, only one time. And I was like, I want nothing to do with this. I will not go in. I will not help you.
Yeah, I just tell him you're cute. You go in and you just use it.
But then they've been denied. Like they've tried 2 other places and then they're like, nope, they're actually expired. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
Anyway.
So it was rich in obsidian. And so it was originally populated, like I said, we think by Tahitians. They lived there. They established a trade of obsidian with some of the other Polynesian islands.
What would you use obsidian for? Like the head of an arrow or like
Probably tools, yeah.
tools? Okay. Gotcha.
And it seems like they were probably there for about 400 years.
That's kind of a
now,
long
Pitcairn
time.
Island, like I said, it's very small,
Mm-hmm.
about 4.5 square kilometers. But it's very lush, lots of resources and plenty of fresh water supplies.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
How does it have a fresh water supply?
I don't know. Maybe it just gets enough rain and there's natural like places that hold it.
Huh. Interesting. Very peculiar.
Yeah. I know I saw when I was looking online every month, the average temperatures are like 78 degrees and they get like 4 or 5 inches of rain every month. So if you could collect it, I mean, that's enough rain to do something with.
Can you drink all rain?
Out there, I'm sure you can.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not polluted.
Okay. Well,
So anyways, so they lived there for about 400 years. Eventually, though, there were some civil wars amongst the islands, and the need for the obsidian came to an end. And the people on the island either died off or left.
okay.
So fast forward, who knows how long, when the Europeans find the island, there's no one living on it. Now, this is where our story begins.
Mine for the taking. It's mine.
Is it Pocahontas?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that was...
I mean, it just makes me think of, I mean, of course they are like, oh, this is uninhabited. This is mine.
Well, even if it was inhabited, they would say it's theirs.
Probably so. Good point. Okay.
So 1787.
Okay.
Britain sends a ship out called the Bounty, and it is looking for the breadfruit tree.
I know what a breadfruit is.
Well, they were looking for trees that harbor and grow such fruit.
And why would they want a breadfruit?
Well, because a couple years earlier, they had lost this little thing called the American colonies. And their other colonies were all about ready to explode due to starvation. All their Caribbean colonies. Because they'd lost a lot of supplies from the American colonies.
Okay.
Because they were no longer their colonies.
Interesting.
You've probably heard about that
Yeah.
revolution thing.
Yeah, I have. I mean, yeah. It was like 11 years earlier. What year are we in?
This is 1787. So this is just 11 years after.
Yeah, 11 years. Okay.
After the colonies declare independence.
Yes.
So, like I said, all these other... There's no riots breaking out in the other Caribbean colonies, but they're on the verge of any moment it could because they just don't have the food supplies in close proximity that they used to.
And people like to eat breadfruit?
People like to eat food.
Yeah.
I don't know what breadfruit tastes like. It looks nothing like bread.
They have it in Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you had it?
I don't think people eat it because it's like really gross, at least according to my friend who lives there. So it's
There's
like this
fruit like that down in Central America that's super stinky. And it's like disgusting. Oh, what's it called?
Is it
jackfruit? Is it jackfruit? Or is that something else?
jackfruit is a thing.
Anyways, there's a thing down there that's like crazy. It looks kind of like a breadfruit. It's kind of big and spiky.
And spiky.
But it's extremely smelly. And you have to cook it like just the right way
Well, I
to
think
get it to not taste
sounds
like
very simple.
garbage.
Like, yeah, basically. So that's why I'm wondering. Like, this doesn't seem like the most appealing crop if you're trying to feed people.
Yeah. Most of them, though, are like not
Okay.
slaves, but, workers. They don't care so much.
Still, though,
probably.
I feel like in a Caribbean place, you could pick a different crop that people would be much more excited about. But anyway,
Bananas.
yeah, any of those kind of things. But breadfruit it is. Okay.
Yeah. So they sent this ship out into the Pacific to look for places where they can
Fine breadfruit.
find and harvest and cultivate breadfruit. But this, in essence, the expedition of the Bounty. So the Bounty had 36 sailors, including their captain and everything. And it ended up being an absolute disaster. They got stuck in certain parts of the ocean and all sorts of issues, which seems to be, we could do a whole podcast just on bad sailing expeditions. Like I come across so many stories of bad that I turn them down because like I don't want to do another story about.
I think it's probably was pretty common.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just uncharted territories, the mischievousness of the ocean. I mean, you cannot predict. It's unpredictable.
You can't predict it. You're traveling in a giant piece of wood that's full of vermin, full of disease.
Well, like maybe
full of-
one time you went by and the tide was high, and then the next time another ship comes and the tide's low and they get shipwrecked. I mean, it's like you You can't know all the things, especially back in the day when it was so uncharted, you know?
Yep.
So anyway, it seems like a terrifying thing to be
Yeah.
a sailor or captain or whatever.
So these guys had a rough go of it. They'd been at sea for a long time. And so the captain, his name's William Bligh, and he decides that they're going to take a break in Tahiti.
I like Tahiti.
I've never been there,
What?
but I hear it's nice.
Yeah, I mean, they are the ones with the big pom-pom things.
Yes. We're going to talk about their pom-pom things.
Are we really?
Kind of.
Oh, because I've been to the PCC, so I
You
know.
have.
Yeah.
So when they pull into Tahiti, they are greeted by extremely over-the-top happy women with pom-pom things who are very friendly, if you know what I mean.
Well, like too friendly.
Too friendly. Well, not for the sailors. They thought it was great.
I like the.
Very, very welcomed into Tahiti.
They're like, hello.
Yes.
Perfect. Just what they were needing.
Yeah. No one was trying to shoot arrows at them or kill them, or they were welcomed. So much so, and they were having such a good time that they stayed for 6 months. But eventually Captain Bligh was like, well, we should probably get back to the ocean. How do you think his men felt?
They're like, oh, no, this is great right here.
Yeah. And it's interesting to me, if you think about this, like you and I could decide anytime that we want to fly down to somewhere tropical and spend a week or two. We know they exist. We know what happens there. It's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But if you're a poor British guy who's a sailor, all you know is cloudy, muddy England.
And a boat.
And a boat. And all of a sudden, you're in a tropical paradise with super friendly women. You've never, you can't even fathom this place back at home. There's no pamphlet of what Tahiti looks like. I would assume getting back on that boat and going back to England doesn't sound very promising. Like, what are you going back to?
Rain and cloudiness.
And being the bottom of everyone's shoe.
But
and,
probably family.
I mean, some of these guys, but a lot of these sailors are probably young, single.
But they still have moms and dads and siblings.
I don't think they care about any of that compared to Tahiti.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
So, anyways, these guys didn't want to get back on the boat. Because why
Can you blame them?
you?
Yeah.
But their captain tells them, no, you're getting back on the boat. I'm your captain. So they get back on the Bounty. And shortly after, not very far from Tahiti, guess what happens?
Shipwreck?
Not shipwreck.
Storm.
Not storm.
They are like, the captain's like, you're right. Let's turn around and go back.
So the captain doesn't decide that, but...
Ooh, I know. They overthrow him.
Yeah.
A coup d'etat.
There's a mutiny.
A mutiny.
Yes.
Yeah.
A guy by the name of Christian Fletcher, he's one of the higher-ups on the ship. So he was in charge of a nighttime patrol, duty, watch, essentially. And so while he was in charge, they grab all the guns and they, take the captain hostage and any of the loyalists to the captain. There's only 36 guys on this ship. And it actually draws down the line 18 and 18. So there's 18 men who mutiny, and there's 18 men who, including the captain, that get put onto a little rowboat with a little bit of food, and they just leave them out in the middle of the ocean.
Well, that's terrifying.
And they say, peace out, we're going back to Tahiti. And so that's what they do. They go back to Tahiti. I can't talk. To Tahiti. But then it kind of hits them. Well, what if these guys make it? Like, eventually the British Navy is going to find out what we did. Maybe we shouldn't stay in Tahiti. And so that's kind of where they're at. Now, Captain Bligh and his 17 men that are dropped off in the middle of nowhere, he was a very ornery and, prideful man, and he was determined to save his men. And
I think you need that kind of captain.
Probably. So they travel to the island of Tofua.
Tofua.
Do you know Tofua?
Like tofu with an A.
Exactly like that. I don't know Tofua. But they travel there. That was the closest island. They decide they want to try to get supplies But the Tofuans are not like the Tahitians.
They're like, die.
Yeah, so they send a poor sailor by the name of John Norton onto shore, and he gets stoned to death by the natives before they can explain what's going on. And so the rest of the guys decide, let's not go there.
That poor guy.
Yeah. And so there is a small British outpost on Timor. I don't know if I'm saying that right or where that is. It's kind of over by Australia as well. So they know that's where they need to go. They decide to skip Fiji because they're not sure what.
Pretty hostile.
Well, they don't know. They've seen Tahiti. They've seen Tofua. Two kind of polar opposites. They don't want to try their luck with Fiji. So they actually make it to this Timor, this British colony, 47 days later. In this little rowboat, they travel over 4,000 miles.
That's crazy.
In 47 days, eating a 1/12 of a pound of bread a day.
A 1/12 of a pound. I don't even know what that looks like.
Not much.
Yeah.
So that's a little more than an ounce a day of bread.
They're probably so hungry.
They're probably not the best crews ever.
Yeah, they're so skinny and so hungry.
Yeah. Needless to say, when they get there, they're very happy to report the mutiny.
I mean, I guess so.
And so back on Tahiti, they're having this thought like, maybe we shouldn't stay here. So of the 18 men who mutinied, 9 of them decide we're going to get out of here. And so 9 of them, including Christian Fletcher,
do they take some Tahitians?
They take 6 Tahitian men and 11 Tahitian women. And they get back on the Bounty and they sail to the uninhabited Pitcairn Island.
Pitcairn.
Pitcairn. Pictairn. It's the last name, actually, of some 15-year-old boy who first saw it from a ship.
Interesting.
Like up in the crow's nest. And they decide to settle there. Now, it was a good idea because the British does come to Tahiti looking for the mutineers, and they pretty much hang them all.
Oof.
The other ones who are left. So there's 9.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they don't know where these guys went.
It's so interesting to me that you're going to waste that much time and manpower to go hunt these 18 people down. Like, do you really not have other better things to be doing?
I don't know. You know, if you're like a ship and you're just stationed to all of these islands.
And that's kind of your job.
You know, I guess this month we'll roll over to Tahiti and we'll get these guys. And
sure. I mean, I guess maybe
but if you're like in
British...
England and it's like, okay, we're going to send you all the way across the world to find these guys.
But do you think that's what this British outpost kind of was? It's like a patrol?
Yeah. I mean, this is the time. This is right at the beginning of the Victorian era. This is the time where the sun doesn't rise or set, you know, on England. There's colonies all around the world. So I'm sure there were people stationed, you know.
But for this purpose.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess if that's their job,
I mean, there's always
it makes
someone
sense.
close by, right?
Yeah.
So that's them. So now we got Fletcher and his group.
Well, and so we have them kind of wondering where these other people are.
They don't know where they left. They took the bounty and they rolled. Now, once they get to Pitcairn Island, they burn the ship and sink it.
Because they don't want,
Which is kind of cool, but it's also
a real bad idea.
Well, this is it now.
You're stuck.
Yeah, you're never leaving this island. At least not without the help of an outside source.
Yeah.
So how do you set up your life? Like, what do you do?
You start building shelters.
You've got 9 of these mutiny guys. You've got
how did they pick these 6 Tahitians?
I don't know
they were
who
willing,
the 6
or did they
Tahitian men
force
were,
them to come?
or who the 11 women were. You know, like why them? But yeah, like how do you set that up?
Yeah, I would.
What does life look like?
You start building shelter and clearing land and planting, and I don't know.
Do everyone build their own shelter? Do you build one communal shelter? Do you pair up? Do you?
I feel like you build one communal hut in the center, and then individual homes off of that, and kind of have a center place. And I'd be great at this.
Yeah, homestead the whole island.
Seriously, figure out what's naturally growing.
So you have 15 men and 12 women, and you've sunk your only way on and off the island.
I mean, the sinking part is a bit dramatic. I mean, I understand that would be something you could see from far away, maybe, and they'd get caught.
And for all I know, maybe it had a problem and it wasn't going anywhere again. I mean, maybe they hit a rock coming into the bay and it was like, well, we might as well.
It would make me feel better that they knew that basically it was unfunctional, and then they were like, oh, let's hide it.
Right.
But
I don't know if that's true.
Right. But that would make me feel better.
Burnt it and sank it. I believe the wreck's still there.
Oh, interesting. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much of it's still there. It was a wooden ship a couple hundred years ago. But I think in the bay, it's called Bounty Bay.
Well,
after the bounty.
Cool. It's very cool.
So this is what they did. And you can tell me what you think about their plan.
Okay.
And I think we'll answer some of your questions about who the people were that came with them. Each one of the sailors, or the mutineers, or the Europeans, or whatever you want to describe them, each of them got a woman.
Okay.
So if you do your math, that leaves the other 6 men with 3 women, the 6 Tahitian men. And this is how they decide to set up life.
I feel like they could have just grabbed, 3 more women.
Yeah.
That would have been easier.
But again, I'm not saying these women were forced.
Right.
Like maybe they'd already set up these relationships, previously. The 6 men were essentially, I mean, they weren't slaves, but they were essentially just workers. I mean, they definitely had a different lot in life than the white guys.
Okay.
And I don't really know, again, who these other 3 women were, who any of the women were, how these arrangements were made. But it seems like a not perfect way to set up a society for the rest of your life. It seems like there's some built-in tension right from the get-go.
Yeah.
So it's like me and this guy, we're going to share this one lady.
That's what I'm saying is I feel like it would have started better if it would have been even numbers.
Which makes it even sound like women are possessions. And I don't know if they were. Like maybe, I don't know how it was set up. But
either way, I just feel like it would have been better to have even numbers. And then it's like no one else's fault if someone got sick and died.
Yeah.
It's like we started out with everyone.
Everyone was happy at the beginning.
I mean, probably not happy because you're not probably that much of a choice, but happier.
Happier.
Okay.
So that's how it starts.
So it starts there.
So how do you think it goes?
Probably not great. I mean, I'm guessing not great.
Yeah. So it was okay at first for a little bit,
But they would start having children.
They definitely started having children.
If they aren't already
pretty rapidly
with children, because they've already been hanging out with these Tahitians for 6 months. So.
Yep. I do actually think there was one small child that came as well.
That was already
with the initial crew. But yes, they do start populating the island as one does. Mm-hmm. But what do all pirates like to drink? Alcohol. And so one of the men, a man by the name of McCoy.
But does it make him a pirate? Are they pirates at this point if you mutiny?
Yeah, seems piratey.
Okay.
If you're a sailor who mutinies and wants to go back to party all the time on a tropical island, it seems piratey.
Yeah.
I've read Pirates of the Caribbean. It seems like that's what they're up to.
I mean, I can foresee myself being like, this is crappy job, and being like, I would rather just stay here. Maybe not necessarily mutinying, but just saying peace out. I don't want to go.
Yeah.
Well, you have fun on your crappy ship with seasickness and I don't know what all the crap, and I'll just be here.
Yeah.
And that was considered not a no.
Yeah, maybe it'd be better to be a deserter.
Maybe that's what I would be.
Getting back on the boat, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna slip over here to the other side of the island. When no one's paying attention.
I'll push you off, and then just don't climb on.
Oh, the waves! Don't leave me.
Sure, whatever you want to call me. I can foresee myself being like,
I wouldn't be a good mutineer.
But I mean, I wouldn't want to mutiny. I just would want to just. Okay, you guys do your thing. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang out here.
Yeah.
Well, this McCoy guy,
he wanted alcohol.
Well, he figured out a way to make moonshine from the roots of one of the local plants.
Oh, perfect.
And so he built his own kind of mini distillery thing, and essentially, all of a sudden, they had endless alcohol.
That's a bad combo.
That's a bad combo.
That's a bad combo.
And so the men essentially just drank copiously, nonstop, and kind of began to show either their true or different characters based on being drunk all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so as a drunk, Christian Fletcher, their kind of quasi-leader.
Mutiny leader.
He was the mutiny leader. He was also the one that came up with the idea to leave Tahiti. He just became like severely depressed and just kind of stopped doing anything. And so McCoy, the man who was making all the moonshine, he just kind of took over the leadership role.
Okay.
But was a insanely violent drunk.
Ooh.
Which isn't not like the greatest leadership quality.
Or like a terrible one.
Right. It's somewhere on that spectrum between terrible and not the greatest.
Okay.
But he definitely had not been to any like Tony Robbins lectures or anything.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Tony Robbins was born yet.
Probably not. But yeah, he wasn't the greatest. For example, one day he sends his woman/wife out fishing. And she doesn't catch as many fish as he thought she should have caught.
Ooh.
And so he pulled a Mike Tyson on her. Now, if I say that, you know what that means?
Like a headlock?
No. He he bites her ear off.
What?
Yeah. Because, I mean, that's the logical thing you do when your wife doesn't catch enough fish.
No, it's not.
Well, in this country, in their tradition and culture, that's what you do.
Ugh. You can't really get away from them.
You cannot get away. Can you imagine being in a relationship with someone who's drunk all the time?
And bit your ear off?
Well, and you're on a 4-kilometer square island with no way off ever.
I mean, that sounds like a nightmare.
It would be a nightmare. And she thought it was a nightmare, and she actually jumps off a cliff. And ends her own life because she realizes, I don't want to deal with this garbage.
Oh, I almost think it would be better for her to try to just end his life.
Yeah, some women would definitely go that way. Maybe she was very tender, I don't know. But so she
like in self-defense.
decides that this isn't the life worth
sad.
living.
Well,
which is fair. So how do you think McCoy handles that?
Oh, probably makes him even more angry, perpetuates this cycle. Then he probably steals someone else's woman.
So he goes to the Tahitian men and he says, hey, I need one of the 3 women
Ooh.
to replace this one over here who jumped off the cliff. Very like nonchalant about it.
And they're like, no, they don't want to be with you because you bit the other one's ear off. Like, this is
psychotic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 6 Tahitian men have decided that they have had enough of this situation.
Right.
So that night, they steal all the guns.
Oh, all the guns. I thought they were going to say like the alcohol.
And they steal all the guns because all the guys are drunk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they go around hunting down the white boys throughout the night. And
when you say hunting down, were they killing them?
chopping off their heads.
Why do you
which I believe
why do you need
does
the
kill
guns?
them. So they can't fight back.
Oh, so they're not using
They're
the
not
guns.
using the guns.
They took the guns, and then the Polynesian boys are cutting off their heads.
Correct.
Are any of the white guys nice?
Maybe not. So in the nighttime, they are able to kill 5 of them.
5 of the 9 that are left.
So Fletcher dies, the original guy.
McCoy?
So no, McCoy, a guy by the name of Adams, a guy by the name of Young, and a guy by the name of Quintal survive.
So Fletcher survives?
No, Fletcher does not survive. McCoy, Adams, Young, Quintal. Now, I don't know if some of them survived. Obviously, McCoy, we know, isn't a good guy. Maybe the other ones were better, and that's why they didn't come after them, or maybe they just didn't get to them, or couldn't find them. But they kill 5 of them. So now we're down to 4 guys, 4 sailor guys,
And 6 Polynesians.
6 Polynesian guys and 11 women? Is that where we're at? Did we start with 12 or did we start with 11?
I thought we started with 13.
Anyways,
Okay.
we're down -1 from wherever we started there. But here's kind of a twist. So the guys are tired after doing their killings.
The Polynesians.
So they fall asleep. Well, then the Tahitian women are angry that they killed the men. And so the Tahitian women sneak in and kill all 6 of them.
Wow. Yeah. This is messed up.
Yeah. This is Lord of the Flies in real life. Only not kids.
So
and no piggy.
Okay. I feel like you could
maybe they like the men?
Maybe you could communicate. Like hey, we're going to kill all the white guys. We're taking the guns. Is this a good idea? And the Polynesian women are like, actually, no. We kind of like, you could do this guy. Sure. We don't like him and him and him, but we these guys are good. We like them.
Communication is the key for so many things.
So many things. And then it would have been like, oh, okay, thank you for taking away this terrible person that bites off people's ears. You know, like, sure, that makes sense. You don't want them around. So,
but they didn't even get to McCoy.
Well, okay. So they kill all 6 of these men. So now we're at like 12 women to 4 men?
Yep.
Okay.
Quintal, Adams, Young, and McCoy. And we don't know anything about any of these guys so far in the story other than McCoy.
Okay.
So there's those 4 guys, 11-ish, 10, 11, 12 Polynesian women.
I still can't believe that these Polynesian women didn't want McCoy dead. I mean, in theory, they bit off their friend's ear.
Yeah. So I don't know what the ingoing politics were, the rationale for maybe they liked the moonshine too, or maybe they really wanted McCoy dead. They were disappointed he didn't die, but they liked the other guy. I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
But so they killed them. So now we've got this.
Do we know how?
I do not know how.
Okay.
And that's, if you think about it, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Like 6, I would assume, fairly large, strong men.
I mean,
and these women somehow managed to kill them all.
That's legit.
Now, I don't know if they're like so exhausted because they've been up all night killing guys. They're just like super out and they shoot. I don't know what,
Interesting. Okay. All right.
They seduce them and then kill them. I don't know.
Ugh,
but
I don't know.
They get the job done.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. Now, okay, so we have 11 women, 4 sailors. I wrote it down, see?
Mm-hmm.
McCoy is still alive, so there's still alcohol on the island.
And very much
anger. Probably a lot of anger.
Okay.
Now, at this point, it's been a couple years since they came to the island. And so there's quite a few small infants and children on the island.
Mm-hmm.
But with all of this death that's happened in the last 24 hours, it kind of, for some of the guys, it kind of forces them to reset. It's like, whoa, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
And so Adams and Young suddenly take fervently to praying and reading the Bible.
Interesting.
They're just like, turn to God. This is nuts. Whatever.
Yeah, this is nuts.
Quintal, he is kind of like McCoy. He becomes even more of an alcoholic and starts like beating some of the small children.
Oh, geez. This is
terrible. It is terrible. So the other 3 men decide, okay, we're all mutineers. We're pretty bad dudes. There's a lot of alcoholism. There's a lot of whatever this is. But we can't have dudes beating up kids or killing kids. And he didn't kill any kids, but it might go there. So they decide we've got to beat him to death. And that's what the other 3 men do.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. This is terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Pitcairn Island is a great nation.
Definitely so.
So Quintal's now gone.
Okay. Quintal's gone.
And so we're down to 3 men. But McCoy, at some point shortly thereafter, decides he's had enough, and he hangs himself. Which is probably best for everybody.
It's 2 men now?
So we got 2. We got Young and Adams.
2 adult men. And
11 women.
11 women and children.
And children. No way on or off the island. Ugh. But the 2 men left are the ones who are super into the Bible.
Which is great.
So,
hopefully they're nice.
So a little bit after McCoy kills himself, Young dies of an asthma attack.
Oh. Is that a new development?
Yeah. Brand new. There you go. He had asthma.
Oh. Okay.
Now he's dead.
All right. Wow. It's intense.
So now you have Young.
One guy. Wow.
Tropical island. 11 women.
It's busy.
And nowhere to go. There's no way on. There's no way off. No one knows you're there. And you're really into the Bible.
What?
And so, what do you do now?
Try to make the most of it?
So, after all of this bloodshed and all of this death, Adams decides. So, he's actually very young. Was one of the youngest crewmen to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And so he decides to go to the Bible. He doesn't really have any real desire to be a leader, never wanted to be a leader, but you're kind of forced into the patriarch role here. And so he kind of starts looking at himself as Adam, but with 11 Eves.
Perfect.
Yeah. And so he decides he wants to create not only a paradise, but a moral paradise.
What does that mean?
Like he wants this island of people to be like God-fearing, super religious, not even like religious, super high morals, high standards.
Perfect.
It's just kind of funny that you have a group of mutineers who become alcoholics, who all kill each other in violent ways. And the end result is this extremely pious island of people.
Pious?
Very righteous.
But at the same time, maybe he was just going along with it because he's the crew and he never wanted to be a part of really any
Sure.
of it.
But just funny, like not even him, just this is the full circle of Pitcairn Island.
Interesting. Okay.
And so he goes and he breaks the moonshine distillery.
Mm-hmm.
And he sets up this, daily Bible readings and kind of comes up with his own spiritual, religious ceremonies, services, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And essentially does this for 2 decades.
20 years.
20 years.
Well, there you have
He's
it.
just the lone guy with all of his Eves and all of his kids. Not all of the kids are his.
Right.
But eventually most of them are because,
yeah.
You just keep going.
You gotta, the children have to grow up and make sure they're marrying.
Yeah. I mean, long term, this isn't a big enough gene pool to be sustainable.
But I'm just saying to be marrying the other children, the kids from the other families, so that there's not a lot of, and then hopefully,
I think you would need to start with about 50 genetically not linked people.
You think so?
Mm-hmm, to actually have.
Why?
Too much inbreeding. You'd have too many genetic issues.
But I mean, let's say the Polynesian woman and a Polynesian man. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like there's
in 1 or 2, 3 generations, you'd be fine. But eventually, without any new genes, this would get really West Virginia. No offense to people in West Virginia.
Anyway, I just feel like, I guess at first, you're right. But how long? I mean, the thing is, the island can't sustain a bigger population anyway.
So
right?
there's a cool historical thing where there was a group of woolly mammoths that were crossing. They crossed over somewhere in the Bering Strait bunch of the ice melted. They were completely isolated from, they couldn't get back. And they were completely isolated. And they lived that way for hundreds of years. But eventually their genes caught up to them, that there wasn't enough variation, and they become infertile eventually.
Gotcha.
And so that would have happened eventually had no one ever found them.
Yeah.
But luckily, what a segue, someone does find them. In 1808. So about 21 years later or so.
Okay, 1808.
The British happen onto the island.
Nice. The British found them.
And they find this super peaceful, well laid out community with this charismatic leader and lots of women and children. And this is the beginning of Victorian England, where they're very like proper and very, into being morally upright. And so they just like love Pitcairn Island. This is like the postcard version of what they want England to be. Like just this insanely proper, well-mannered, which is really funny because it started with a bunch of alcoholic mutineers.
Yeah, terrible. And a lot of killing.
And so Adams ends up dying in 1829. And so even after Britain finds them, they really don't change much.
Well, but the thing is, if he dies, then there's real big problems.
Yeah. So he dies, and then they go through a really kind of up and down with all sorts of different people popping on to the island, claiming like, okay, now I'm going to rule this island. And so, for example, after he dies, there was a adventurer by the name of George Nobbs who sailed there. He was British, but he'd been down in South America. He sails there, and he takes over leadership of the island.
You just walk onto the island and be like...
And he was very charismatic and very,
It's me.
It's me. I'm your new leader.
Here I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he ruled for a little while. And in all honesty, they probably wanted somebody to rule.
Yeah.
Not even not to rule, but they probably need some kind of direction. Not that the women couldn't do it by any means, but...
A new gene pool, too.
And a new Jew, yeah. But then a man by the name of Joshua Hill shows up. And Joshua Hill, he comes and he says, okay, George, that's cool that you're here and all, but the Queen actually sent me to be governor of Pitcairn Island. And so I'm sorry, but you got to go because I've been sent by England to be the governor here. And so he kicks George Nobbs out.
Where does George Nobbs go?
Who knows?
Okay.
And so Joshua Hill starts running the place. He builds himself a palace.
Ooh.
That's what he calls it. It's really just like
a hut.
Yeah. I mean, it looks no different than anything else. But then it turns out that they find out that he wasn't at all from England. He just showed up and said that they'd sent him.
Whoa.
So once the locals find that out, they kick him out.
My. This is a lot.
Which isn't good. But don't worry, a guy named John Tay shows up.
I'm not worried.
A Seventh-day Adventist missionary. And he tells the islanders that the monarchy in England has converted to Seventh-day Adventism.
You're totally lying.
Yeah. And so all of them are like, okay, I guess we'll convert too. So he baptizes them all into Seventh-day Adventism. They start going to church on Saturday instead of Sunday. Generally speaking, nothing really changes on the island for the most part. I don't know when that was.
There's even days of the week out there. Doesn't even matter.
That's true. But to this day, the residents are all still Seventh-day Adventists.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. There have been some very intense controversies and arrests based on, we'll say, interactions with children that weren't appropriate in the last little while.
Like recently?
2004, there was like a big 3 or 4 arrests. So it's been kind of back in the news for that. But generally, it's still there. It's still a country. or a territory, or I'm not sure if it has its independence or not. Like I said, there are 47 full-time residents that live on the island.
Crazy.
And
what is it like? What does it look like?
it looks like a tropical island.
But I mean, like 47 people. You don't need, you just grow everything that you need.
I bet they have regular ships that come in from, same as any of the other Polynesian islands. I'm sure they're getting some supplies from.
And like switching in the gene pool.
Right. And I think a lot of the residents have kind of immigrated, some to Australia and New Zealand. So they kind of have families back and forth, and they go back and forth.
It's pretty wild.
Show you a picture. There you go. If you turn my computer, you can check out Pitcairn Island and its beauty. Oh, but you ruined it.
I mean, I don't know if I did.
Well, just kidding.
Just kidding. I'm difficult. What about that tab? Nope.
Ethne did something.
I always
made
do
it all
something.
go away.
Yeah. I saw it looks kind of Hawaii-esque. Yeah.
Probably looks a lot like Tahiti. Or Fiji.
Yeah.
The other islands over there by it.
Interesting. It's a very unique situation. So they're all, many are still Seventh-day Adventists.
Mm-hmm.
And who runs the show now?
They have a mayor.
Oh, a mayor.
Because that's probably all you really need for 47 people.
Oh, I never
don't need
assumed
like a president.
So. Yeah.
Or a king or a governor.
Right.
A mayor probably does the job. I mean, maybe even like a city council member could probably do it.
What even are you doing?
I mean, the school board could probably run it.
There's a school?
There's got to be a school, right?
Officially?
I don't know. This is a good question. I don't know.
Huh.
Pitcairn High is a thing.
Pitcairn High, Pitcairn Elementary.
What would be their mascot? I hope it would be the mutineers.
Something. Oh, I like something with obsidian.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like
the obsidian mutineers.
The obsidianeers.
Yeah, that's good.
I liked it. He's making fun of me.
No, not at all.
Always.
Never.
The obsidianators.
Ooh, that's better. The obsidianators. Yes, I bet that's what it is.
I bet you they don't have an official even schoolhouse.
Can you just imagine, like, okay, we got to play Tahiti in basketball today. It's going to be a week-long trip.
No, I don't even think that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's officially like considered a school. It's like they just educate their kids on, whatever. Basics. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting what daily life looks like there. Yeah, it would be cool.
Nowadays.
And weird.
But definitely interesting
history
of where they came from. And almost everybody's related still, right?
Yeah, I just still can't figure out why the Polynesian women killed all the Polynesian men. I just feel like a good conversation could have solved a few of those situations.
Maybe the white guys killed them, and just historically, then they blamed it on the Polynesian women. They said, well, they did it.
Oh.
And that's what's gone down.
Maybe so. That makes way more sense to me.
Yeah.
There's no reason for them. I mean, that's what.
If in reality these women and these men had hooked up back on Tahiti prior to coming, and they legitimately had children together, and for all intents and purposes were husband and wife, I could see a lot of anger if they decided just to come in and kill your husband in the middle of the night and chop his head off.
Sure. I just feel like that's a bad move on the Polynesian guys' part. I think they felt threatened, and they probably thought another night of this and they're going to kill all of us.
Very well could be. And I don't think they were treated well. Like, they were essentially, like I said, there as manual labor.
Right. So
it's like they were getting all the spoils of living there.
Sure. I can totally see the other guys that didn't get killed doing that. Way more than, like, the women doing that.
Yeah. It does seem, because again, it's like, how would they do it?
How would they kill and so successfully? I mean, even those Polynesian men couldn't kill all of the white guys who were inebriated. But yet these women, which, I mean, women are awesome, but all these women were able to kill these 6 Polynesian men all in one night that weren't even inebriated, just tired. I mean, like,
maybe they got drunk. Who knows?
It's sketch. It's sus.
There's definitely sus, as the kiddos would say.
Yeah, for sure. Well, very interesting.
But you probably don't feel nearly as nervous this week as you did last week.
No, not at all. Much better this week. Like last week was stressful.
We'll I kind of enjoy those ones now, so I have to find it.
You like making me stressed out?
I kind of do.
No, thank you.
So
I need a break every now and then from that. So, well, interesting. Well, someday maybe we can get to Pitcairn Island.
Maybe.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
But someday maybe.
But someday, if we're island hopping between Fiji and Tahiti.
Totally. We'll just do a pit stop.
Just a pit stop.
Yeah.
They probably don't have an airport. Probably have to boat in.
I'm certain they don't have an airport. Maybe we can ask our friends to fly their tiny little plane there.
Yeah.
Maybe
a long flight from here, but
maybe a tiny plane can land.
Could have a little strip.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, well, you guys have a great week. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. We'll be back next week with another episode on something that I haven't figured out yet. But I will.
Yeah. It'll be interesting and apparently nerve-wracking.
Maybe not. Depends what I find.
Okay. Well, sounds good.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful week. And we will talk to you next week. Bye. Thank you.